Hey, Jared.
How you doing, Miss Ammons?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Might need to close my curtain. It's sort of bright outside.
It's just giving you the glow in your face that you need, right?
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Um, how have you and my math lab been going?
It went pretty good. The first like little quizzes threw me in for a loop because I got done doing like the homework for like section one, and then I was like, all right, I should be good to just try the quiz. So I tried the quiz and I only got like half a point right out of all of them. So I was like, probably should check out your videos. So I
Ah,
went. Yeah. So I went and I watched all your videos and then I pretty much aced it. And then I went on to the next one with like the transpose and stuff like that.
yeah.
And it was a little difficult at first, but then I watched the video and it made all sense. Of course, there
Watching
was.
videos.
What did you say?
What
There
were you
was.
going to?
What did you say?
I was going to ask you. What were you going to ask?
I was just gonna say there was one part like towards the end when I was like comparing what they were trying to ask and what your videos did. So they did it to where it was like, of course, you put like Y1 and Y2 instead of just X1 and X2. But they had like X1 and X2 off on the side. Like it was like a Y graph almost too.
Well, it that might have been when they were asking you for a maximum um, answer as opposed to a minimum, because you have to read them differently.
Okay.
See, I never put anything on the left-hand side because you really don't have to.
Yeah. You just like put it on the top, right?
Always put it on
Like
the top.
this
Yeah,
is your slack values.
yeah, yeah. But you
Okay.
see, that example I did the other day, last week, I guess, um, or it might have been Monday. I don't even know now when I did it. But with a maximization, you'll have the X sub values plus the S sub values. But when you
Okay.
go to a minimization, you change that when you once you transpose and you rewrite it, you use Y sub values, but the slacks become X sub 1, X sub 2, because when you read a minimization problem, the matrix, you read the X sub 1s down.
Yeah.
So
Because yeah.
yeah, that's and I know I did it the other way in the videos because when I made those videos, it's been stars over 10 years ago, I think. And in another book, that's how they did it. I didn't want to redo the videos. Wait a minute, Ryan's wanting in. But when I read, hey Ryan, I sort of see your ceiling light, I think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on my laptop right now.
Oh, that's okay. That's cool. But I was talking to Jared about minimization. But that's why I did that example whenever it was. That's why
Yeah.
I did that in order for it to match up with the book.
Okay. And another one, it was the second or the like section two. It was like the last problem in it. It asked for like X of one and X of two. So I had to like, I'm trying to remember. It was like P equals 30x sub one plus 40x sub two. So you had to like make it like negative 30x sub one, like put it on the bottom of the
Put it in the matrix. Yeah, the profit function, you have everything over to the left-hand side
right.
to put it in
And
the matrix. Yeah.
yeah, and I did that, and I remember your rule is you look at the most negative number, and then you go up, and then you like find the quotient or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I did that, and when I plugged in the answer, it said it was wrong, and so like I went and like redid all my work, and they almost wanted me to do like a whole Gauss Jordan for both like X of one and X of two to get them where it was like 1 0 answer, then 0 1 answer. It was weird.
I'd have to, do you know what problem it was? Hey, Chelsea,
Hey,
do you remember, Jared, what problem?
I wrote it down. I don't remember exactly which problem it is, but it was the last one on section 2,
Was it the homework or the quiz?
the quiz.
Okay, I'll have to go look at it and I'll get back in touch with you on that.
Okay. I'll say I got the answer right to it, but how I did it was such a pain.
Chelsea, you got somebody at your door.
that's my husband.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, he can come in and out.
Oh, that's all right.
Make sure you come outside when you're done.
Has he got the kids out?
Yeah, they're supposed to stay outside.
He's just checking to see if this is going on. But Jared, I'll make note. No, I'll check that. See
Okay.
what it was asking for.
Because I got the problem right here, I think. It started off with like x sub 1 being like 2, like 1. Yeah. I'll just let you look at it later.
Okay, I'll look at it and see. Hey guys, I'll take roll as we go. Let's see, Blake. So there should be some more coming in. I printed off the pre-test for chapter 6. Have you all looked at that?
Few problems.
A few problems? Well, I'll look at them as we go and give you a heads up. Some of these problems will be similar to what you will see on the test. Now, when you do your scratch work, keep it legible. And there's, I know the last problem number 10, there are 10 problems. But the last problem, I want to see everything. I want to see the table, your setup, all the work. Okay, even though it might just ask you for an answer, I want the whole thing. Okay, but let me get this review. Sort of slow. The larger I make it, the fuzzier it gets, unfortunately. But there's some very quick questions. Let me see if I can go ahead and just put it on the whole screen. Me and my IPvo. Because what you see here, every one of y'all could have something different. That's how my math lab, it generates different types of problems. But if you can do this, then you should be sitting pretty good for the test. Now that test, like I've already said, it's 10 problems, and I've got it due on April 7th because it was originally due on the 6th. And you know, my math lab has been slow. It's because so many other schools are putting their students online. If you can, it will be to your advantage to do it as early in the morning as possible because it slows down in the afternoon and really bogs down in the evening. Okay, so adding slack variables, you should be all right. We okay with that? Maybe answer me with no, I'm not, because if there's more yays than no's, then Because I don't mind. Because guys, this is what our world's going to be right now for the next couple of weeks. So
Do you mind going over this one for just a second?
okay, when you're adding slack variables, you're trying to change them to an equation. And on these, this is the inequality system. They call it the I system. The E system is when you change them to equations. And it says do not factor. So on this, they're even telling you what slack variable to use. This side is less than or equal to that side. And in order to put this into a matrix, remember it looks sort of like that. This line, that vertical line, means equals. It does not have an inequality. So you're going to, somebody's trying to get in. Let me let Brienne in. Hey, Brienne, we just started.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. But you see, it says right as the E system, and E means equation. So I'm just going to add S sub 1. So I've got 13x sub 1 minus 10x sub 2 plus S sub 1 equals 59. And that would be my first row. I'd have x sub 1, x sub 2. It looks like I'm going to have 3 slack variables because I'd add S sub 1 there, S sub 2, and S sub 3. So have all your variables listed up top. And so I would have 13, a negative 10, 1, 0, 0, 0, 59. So I would do that. I'd add S sub 2 here, S sub 3. The only thing about a linear programming problem, remember I said this is equals. So I think, Ryan, just adding S sub 2 and S sub 3 wouldn't be that big of an issue. But you do have to take these values, that thing that you're trying to maximize, over to the other side. The only thing allowed in that right-hand column is a constant. And when you move them over, they do become negative. So guys, is that all right? Now, it doesn't ask us to do all this, but just writing an equation, you have to be able to do that. So Ryan, we okay there?
So the answer exactly would be what? What would we enter?
This, just this. It says type an equation.
Okay.
But I'm
All
just
right.
taking it a little bit further. Eventually, this up here, that matrix, is what you're eventually going to get to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, what about number 2? Now, more than likely, I'm not going to give you those answers. I might, but there'll be a problem that you're going to have to fill in the blank. So do you know which ones are feasible? Anybody?
Is it the ones that are non-negative?
Mm-hmm. So A, B, E, and F. And it says the solutions and it's the values of, and they give you ideas down here. The x sub 1, x sub 2 are your decision, because when you make up your mind as to what your pivot's going to be, it's going to be with respect to x sub 1, x sub 2. So the x sub 1s and the s sub 1s have got to be all non-negative. So it's called decision and slack variables. Normally I don't call them decision slack variables. We look at them and know how to work out the problem. They're just using a little bit more of their terminology that I normally don't choose to use. But if it's on the test, you need to know about it. Number 3 is similar in that the answer is already there, except, let me see. What do they want here? So it says use the basic feasible solutions to maximize. So I know I can't use this one and I can't use that one because they're negative. So I would have my P column here and substitute these values in one at a time. So if I put 0 in there, my P will be 0. If I put 33 in there, it's whatever 7 times 33 is. Put 33 in there, that would be what, 66? And then I would put those in. So it's a matter of knowing which ones to use. And let me get my calculator. I'll do that multiplication. So 33 times 7. 16.5 times 2 plus times 22. So my maximum here would be this one when x sub 1 is 0 and x sub 2 is 33. You do not, because we're trying to maximize this p-value, but the only variables I'm using are x sub 1, x sub 2. So I don't have to worry about the s's. So in a way that's sort of similar to what we did in the last chapter, but just ignoring that particular column. I'm just substituting my x values in. Are we okay?
Yes.
Now, guys, I would suggest strongly that you do this pretest. Do this because some of the problems will be coming out of my math lab. There's a couple that are mine. The thing is like I said, if you can handle this, you'll be okay. There's 10 problems. You've got 75 minutes, which is way enough for you to be able to get it done. Okay, number 4, you have to, in a way, fill this out in order to do the rest of this. And do you remember how to do that? Yay, nay? Am I assuming
Partially.
silence means okay or what?
Yes.
Okay. Ryan, Blake, what about you guys?
I think I'm fine on this one.
Yeah, I can
think
do
I'm
this
fine.
one.
Okay. What'd you say, Blake?
I can do this one.
Okay.
I'm good with this, yeah.
That's the one I made you all split up.
Yeah.
You all work on something like that. So I won't be able to have you fill in, but I can ask you to find a particular one. So here you've got to go to G and take care of it. And up here, there's going to be 5 boxes. So that's once you fill this out, then you can put in the information. See if I can focus it a little bit better. So that's very similar to those other ones, but it's just a very particular, which particular solution I want. So please be careful as to what they're asking. Here they're wanting G, down here they want I. So all I'm asking you is that you be careful. Okay, on this one, it asks you to convert the given I system to an E equation using select variables, then construct a table of all basic solutions. So in a way, that's doing that, but they're asking you to do the whole table. So it's just fill in the blanks. So it's some of the same stuff that we had prior, just a different way of asking. Now, if you need help, please stop me. Can you answer this one?
Yeah.
Remember that the basic variables are the ones that are the Gauss-Jordan columns. So my Gauss-Jordan columns is this one, and this one. So I need x sub 2, s sub 1, and p. So it would be this answer. So if those are the basic ones, that means the other two, x sub 1 and s sub 2, are non-basic. So Gauss-Jordan columns are the same as basic variables. Now it says find the corresponding values from the tableau above. So that means they want us to read these. You are going to have to do that. So on this one, x sub 1 would be, can anybody help me?
Zero.
Yes, ma'am. If it's not a Gauss-Jordan column, it's automatically 0. X sub 2, read across, that would be 17. S sub 1, read across, that would be 20. S sub 2 would be 0. My P would be 14. That's my maximum value. So that's what we would type in here. Now it says, which of the following is true? An additional pivot is required. Optimal solution has been found. The problem has no optimal solution. Well, as long as you've got negatives in the bottom row, you need to see if you can do another pivot. You always start with your most negative and do your quotients. So I'd have 17 divided by 4. You cannot do a quotient with a negative or division by 0. So it looks like one more pivot. I need to make that position a 1. Everything else in that column is 0. Are you with me?
So, I'm sorry. When
No,
you
Brianne, please ask questions.
so if you can do another pivot, then why are those the solutions?
Well,
Aren't those? It's not like the final one, right?
no. But you really, really need to go ahead and see what the solutions are, because in your solutions, this is the current solution at this particular pivot. Remember, we have a whole bunch of different pivots we could have, but these solutions here, the x subs and the s subs, should all be they should all be greater than or equal to 0. If you've got a negative in amongst these, then you pick the wrong pivot. You really need to read your solution each time. Just read it. You don't really have to write it. But if you say a negative in here anywhere, we've got issues. But with a negative in the bottom row, that just means we've got another possibly better answer and another pivot. And this is just an indicator that tells us to go do it one more time. And hopefully that will be the last one I have to do.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, I'm going to see if I can be quiet. Why don't you do these two and write out your solution out here. Now, have you got that answered and have your values determined? Do you need any more time? My camera's over here, but I see you all over here, and that's why I keep looking over there. Maybe I'll move my camera over there. Are y'all done?
Yeah.
Which variables are basic? X sub 2, X sub 3, S sub 3, and P. So X sub 2, X sub 3, S sub 3, and P. Non-basic would be X sub 1, S sub 1. It looks like the only ones.
And S
There's
sub-
another one. Oh, S sub 2. So X sub 1, S sub 1, S sub 2. All right. Now, on this, your answer, do you have that?
Yes.
Notice X sub 1, S sub 1, and S sub 2, which are your non-basic, will always be 0. The basic ones will always have whatever that thing is over on the right-hand side, whatever your constants are. Now, it asks the same question down here. The optimal solution has been found. An additional pivot is required. Problem has no optimal solution. If I go back up here, I see a negative. I can't divide by a negative or 0 or negative. I am stuck. So that means this problem has no optimal solution. If it were all positives and zeros in the bottom row, then the optimal solution has been found. An additional pivot is required. If I have a negative and I actually have legal quotients, then I can go again. But this is a good example of, no, I can't. It's done because I can't divide by negative, can't divide by 0. Now, if you divide by negative, I know we can divide by negative, but if you divide by negative, you end up with a negative in your solution. And if we're supposed to be in the first quadrant where everything's either 0 or positive, then we've just taken ourselves out of that quadrant. So that's why we don't divide by negative, because a negative in our solution is not legal. All right.
So you said that I'm just making sure I'm right. Basic variables, if they're a basic variable, they'll always have there'll be something greater than 0, correct?
Well, it's possible to have a 0 over here.
Okay. Okay,
But the
yeah.
best way to look at it is they're your Gauss-Jordan columns.
Gotcha.
So we cool, guys? All right. So the pivot element is located in what column?
Is it X1?
Yep, it's in that column. So you make your arrow coming in, and now go do your quotients, because you're using these values here to divide these numbers over here. And you probably can't read it all that well. But which one do I go with?
4/1.
Yep.
Row
So that
one.
would be row 1. That's already a 1. So you use that to take care of the other ones. Now, entering is referring to, this is going to be the new Gauss-Jordan column with 1, 0, 0. So the x sub 1 is entering. It's not going to be 0 anymore, more than likely. The exiting variable, that's the one that was like it. You see, the x sub 1 is going to be taking on this form. So that means it's going to exit. So that's what that is referring to. If, this is a what if my pivot was here at 2, then x sub 1 would still be entering, but the s sub 2 would be exiting. It's whatever the entering variable, the column, the Gauss-Jordan column, it's taking on. The other one that had that is the one that exits. So what they're wanting you to do down here is you're going to have to do that pivot, get everything cleared up before you start putting in any answers in this. So you're going to have to do your pivot. So in order for me to do that, let me see if I can get another pen that might be darker. I would do -2 times row 1, add to row 2 for my new row 2, 6 times row 1, add to row 3 for my new row 3. Oh yeah, that's much brighter. And once I've completed that and gotten that matrix, then for you to answer this, you look at that new matrix that you've got and fill in the blank. So have you all been working on pivots? Now, when's this test due?
Tuesday?
It is due Tuesday. So I'm hoping that you'll get some stuff done between now and then. All right, problem 11. Answer ABC.
Should be 1, 1.
Have you got ABC? Let's go this way. If you don't have ABC, let me ask you to tell me that, and then I'll just wait a second. Okay.
Give me just one more.
Okay, Ryan. Now, I'm not asking you to do the problem. I'm just asking you to do the ABC.
Okay, I'm good.
All right. So let's go find our pivot. So I know I come in with the most negative. I do 4 divided by 5, 8 divided by 2. I can't do that one because it's 5 divided by 0. So I pick the smallest, so which would be that one. Here's my pivot. So it's going to be in column 1, row 1. Now the entering, this one's going to become, this column eventually is going to look like this. That's what I want x sub 1 to look like. So the entering is x sub 1, but now if you go across here, this matrix to see what the other column that used to be that, see the x sub 2 column, it's going to be exiting because it's not going to look like that anymore because X sub 1 will take that on. Now, guys, can you do the pivot? Can you do your Gauss-Jordan row operations on this?
Yes.
Because this is what we did in our very first test, that very first problem. You got to make that a 1, everything else 0. So this row right here is not going to change because it's already a 0. Check it out down here. It's the exact same row. So really, you only have 2 operations that you have to do in order to answer that problem. Or actually, they've already done that one, but I'd probably do that one just to make sure I'm doing it right. And then do this one. And once you find that, notice this bottom row is all 0 or positive. This would be the last one we'd have to do on this. It will be done once we get that p-value. So guys, are we all right? Since I'm not hearing anything, I guess I'll move on. Okay, you have to use select variables, write the simplex tableau, and identify first pivot and entering and the entering and exiting variables. Use simplex method to solve. So this is the whole thing that you're going to have to go through. So my first constraint, and they ask us to use S sub 1, S sub 2. So I'd have 2x sub 1 plus x sub 2 plus s sub 1 equals 20. X sub 1 plus 5x sub 2 plus s sub 2 is equal to 20. My objective function and then I would have to fill in the blank down here. Don't worry about this stuff over here. I think they put it there because they're going with respect to what your Gauss-Jordan is. And I just asked you to go with respect to the Gauss-Jordan column. So there's no need in doing that. So you see, I don't like their matrix as good as our matrices because this is sort of too wide for me. So pivot element, I'd be going in here. So that's 20 divided by 2, 20 divided by 1. That's my smallest. So the pivot element is going to be in the first column, first row. So entering variable is x sub 1. Exiting is going to be s sub 1. And then I would put it on a piece of paper and work the problem. Because I'm not going by this. It's too spread for me. But once you put in those particular, fill in those blanks, they want to know what the maximum solution is. So can you do a maximization problem? Let me put it like that. I don't want to find out on Wednesday when I'm grading papers. Guys, are we all right?
Mhm.
Blake, are you? Ryan, Brianne?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Garrett, what about you?
I'm good.
Yes, I think I'm good as well.
Okay. That's a problem very similar. Guys, I do multiple problems of the same type so you can get practice. because that's what it's all about, getting practice and knowing what they want you to do. So this is one that you don't even have to do all that stuff. You have to just do it on paper. And this is why you need to do your work and get it to me. And that's, you know, taking a picture of it. Look at your picture. If you can read it, then I can read it. But just send it to my email, because I will need that in order to grade. So those two problems are just maximization problems. Actually, all three of these are. So you should be able to do my maximization problem that's on there with practice. There will be a word problem on there. One. And it's problem 10. I'll go ahead and tell you. And it's my problem. I made it up. So I need your work, because I look for everything. I look for the table setup. I look for your equations. I look for your matrices. I look through the work that you've done on your matrices and answer the question.
So just remind me, we're supposed to turn in our work, like scan it with our phone or something and send it to you?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And you just send it to my email. That's where you send it. I might have to go get some more black ink, a cartridge from my printer, but I'll do that. I've already ran out of one.
So will the test tell us what we made, or will you be the one that tells us what we made?
Well, since it's in my math lab, it will do an initial grading on it, but don't get too hyper with it, because the couple of problems, I'm going to go in, I'm going to look. When I grade online, I look for anything that you've missed. I will always have a comment, and I have the ability to change the points given. So I will send you an email once I get everything graded. I will send it that it's graded and your test grade is in, I'll put it in Brightspace.
Gotcha.
So Blake, that is what I will do.
Gotcha.
Can you find a transpose?
Yeah.
Yes.
There is a question I ask you, find the transpose. Boom. It should be quick. I have had, gosh, over the past so many years, I have had people miss it. Just be careful when you type it in. Now, a minimization problem, I did that the other day. Do we need to look at a minimization problem?
Yes, please.
All right.
What we're doing here is turning a minimization problem to a maximum, right? And then
Yes.
we change it back. Okay.
Yeah. So the first thing you've got to do is put this information as is into a matrix. Nothing is changed. That's why I said you put it as is into a matrix. Now to do the dual, this is why you need to know about a transpose. They use y sub 1s. That's what I used the other day. So I need to maximize 5y sub 1, 8y sub 2, subject to 3y sub 1, 8y sub 2 less than or equal to 5, 8y sub 1, 8y sub 2 less than or equal to 9. Because this information goes there. I use these slack variables exactly like they've got here, because since we are doing a transpose, I use the X sub because, guys, remember, this starts out as a minimization problem. We transpose it this way. So when we read our solution, we read down, not like a maximization, we read down. So using the slack variables X sub 1, X sub 2, so it says fill in the initial simplex tableau. So we're going to put this information exactly what we've got there down here. So if I do that, whoopsie, that's a 1. And once you get it in that form, you do the simplex method to it like you did in the last section. I would go here, that's my most negative. Do your quotients. That's under 1, this is over 1. That's going to be my pivot. I'm going to make that a 1, everything else in that column is 0. And once I do that next matrix, if there's a negative in the bottom row, I start with that new matrix, look for my pivot, and go from there. I keep going until the bottom row is all 0 or positive. No negatives allowed. So is that all right?
Yes.
But it's called a dual problem because it's a way of getting back to something that you've done before, and it's nothing new. The new part is relatively simple up here, me transposing and rewriting the problem as a maximization problem, which we have done. Let me see what else is in here. This is a minimization. Oh, this one's nice. I do want to look at this. It says in the following problem, a minimization problem, the corresponding dual problem, and the final simplex tableau in the solution, the dual problem are given. They want us to minimize. This is what it's changed if it was a maximization. But I want you to be able to read the optimal solution. Now, if it's a maximization problem, guys, you read this direction. So my maximum value is 363. Y sub 1 would be 3. Y sub 2 would be 5. My X sub 1, X sub 2 are 0. Minimization, so this is max. Minimization, we read down. And this is one reason why they use these particular values. My minimum is 363. X sub 1 is 3. X sub 2 is 6. Do you see that from that matrix?
Yes.
Chelsea, Brianne, Garrett, you okay?
Yep.
I'm good.
Because I do like that. You've got to know what are you asked for? If it's maximization or minimization, because you'll get this. Whatever is in that lower right-hand corner is my answer, whether it max or min. But how you read the rest of it is dependent on what type of problem it is. Okay, C down here is forming the dual problem and finding the solution, working all the way through. A minimization problem. You will have to work a minimization problem. I'll go ahead, and since you are online, the word problem is a maximization problem. But there's a minimization problem, sort of similar to that. I just give you the problem and ask you work it. Yeah. So guys, you got any questions? We've got a little bit more time. You think you'll be ready by the time you need to do it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch all the videos over like the next day or two just to catch up again, like refresh it.
Yeah, I'm glad I have the weekend, but I think I'm good.
Okay. Now your test is due on Tuesday. You have, I think, 75 minutes to do 10 problems. Some of those are real, real quick, but you know when you're doing the Gauss-Jordan, it takes a little bit of time. So that's why I can't give you a lot of problems. I wouldn't want to give you a lot of problems. Now, excuse me, next Friday, we weren't supposed to have classes anyway. Okay. So there's no reason to, I don't think, reason to meet on Wednesday next week. But before you do any of the homework, any of the quizzes, look at my videos first. You will, I promise you, save time. You will save so much time if you do that. But as far as I'm concerned, we'll meet again on Monday the 13th with questions about chapter 3.
So that'll be the
Okay.
next time that we meet. We're not meeting anytime next week.
Well, the only time we would actually meet would be on Wednesday, but that would be right after your test.
Okay.
Now we can meet. I'm here.
If you want to.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you what I'd probably say. Chapter 3, you deal with, it's money. You talk about interest, simple interest, compound. We get into all types of how to find annuities and stuff like that. I will tell you right now that I want you to start a formula sheet. When you start looking at my videos, you do a formula sheet. Not the formulas out of the book, the formulas I talk about in the video. Because you will be using your formula sheet, so make sure it's right. You'll be using your formula sheet on the test when it rolls around.
So it's basically just accounting.
It's similar. We get into a lot of stuff. I also show in my videos how to use your calculator, because thank goodness for that calculator, because those problems, if we had to do it by hand, I don't know if I'd do it or not. It'd be way too, you're raising wild decimal numbers up to an exponent. And I ain't going to do that by hand. I have no wish to. So, guys, if you need me, email me, and we can set up a real quick meeting if you want. But I'm going to let you be free for next week if you want.
I have one quick question, real quick.
Yeah, Ryan.
What do you want us to do with the test that we were supposed to give back to you?
Hold on to them for right now.
Uh-huh.
If you decide to take the final, I'll tell you what problems to look at. Okay. After that, when it becomes, you know, a nice cool night and there's not too much of a wind, you can use it to I like to burn things, so I use it to start a fire.
That sounds good to me.
So if we're studying for the final, how are we gonna be able to see the tests that we did online?
I think already, or if I haven't already, I will put it another sort of a homework pre-test for final.
Okay, thanks.
So anything else, guys?
So the final's optional.
Yes. When I grade your last test, I will email you and let you know what you need to make on it to improve your grade if you want to.
Okay.
So yes, it is optional. So I will be online Wednesday next week if you want to check in. If not, that's fine. I might have some people that didn't check in today. Wish they had, but they didn't. But when you're ready to take your test, it is open now. So if you click on it, you're going to have to take it. So don't click on it until you're ready to. Make sure your calculator and you got pen and paper with you, and hopefully in a quiet location. But if you can do it in the morning, I think the better, because there's less traffic on Pearson. Okay, guys?
I'll go lock myself in a closet.
I keep seeing your door open off and on.
Well, the only place I really have to sit the computer, and I'm not going in my bedroom. That's a mess.
Well, you all take care. Be careful. And I will talk to you. I'll be shooting you an email, I guess, sometime next week.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Bye-bye.